Good evening, everybody, and welcome back once again to the Sutton Broadbent Lounge. We've had a busy old week at SM1. We've had a surprise departure from the men's first team. We've also had an away game to up north. We'll look forward to Tim Vine's chocolate and amber team this weekend. But we've also had an anniversary at the football club. And that anniversary happens to be the 30th anniversary of the day that Swindon Town Women's Football Club played their first competitive fixture. It was on the 5th of September 1993 that Swindon Town ladies walked out as 4-1 winners over Southampton reserves. Goals from Edel Finn, Justine Hume, Kerry Garwood and Donna Wright set the Reds on their way. And 30 years later, going as strong as ever, we've got Town's current goal-getter in red joining us tonight. Now, producing poetry can be tough. Just ask Ellis. But what this baller does on a pitch is pure poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming back to the lounge an official Tom Broadbent Lounge athlete, Annie Goalston. Annie, how's it going?
Oh, you're so cute. That's very nice. Yeah, I'm good,
Oh,
thank you. How are you?
yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Bit sweaty,
Good.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's too hot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's mega hot. Now, something else that's mega hot is Ellis Holloway. Ellis, how you
Oh,
doing?
you flatter me, Joe. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good pal, good pal.
Good.
We've also got Daz. Daz, how's it going, pal?
I'm very well, and I'm hot too.
It is overly warm. I mean, I think Gabs might be joining us a bit later on, and he's sat on a sun lounger in Mexico, and I feel like I'm also sat on a sun lounger in Mexico tonight. Now, we won't sort of sit around and chat about our body temperatures for too long. Annie, we'll start off with, before we get into sort of yourself, we'll start off with Town's start to the season as a whole. Obviously, we've had a managerial change at the end of last season. So first pre-season under Mike Cook, 2 games in, a win, a loss. Positive start to the campaign. How are the girls feeling about it?
Yeah, I'd say it's very positive. Obviously Mike came in last season. I think there was 4 games left. Which is hard for the girls to take anyway, because I don't think you see it much in the women's football as you do in like top tier men's, but obviously they have a lot of manager changes throughout their season.
Yeah.
And we don't really until it's like end of the season or someone's moving away. So it was tough for the girls to take, but they all adapted quick. And then I think Mike really got his teeth stuck in with pre-season, obviously recruited players and sort of building the team, who he wants to have in the team, etc. But pre-season and the start of the season is going really well. There's like a really good vibe around the girls. They're all buzzing. But yeah, I'd say it's going pretty well.
Oh, good, good. I mean, you mentioned there, obviously, Mike's had a pretty big impact over pre-season. How are you enjoying the round of football that's sort of been, I guess, taught to you guys this season, or projected upon yourselves? There's also been quite a lot said about the caliber of players that have been coming in over the summer. This looks like a real strong group from the outside, at least. I mean, I've not been to the game yet. I'll have to get to the game soon, but from the outside on paper, this looks like a really, really strong group.
Yes, you will have to come to a game soon. But no, yeah, he's added some really quality players in, like the likes of Ellie Strickle, Grace Purnell, G Clifford, just to name a few. They've really brought quality to the team. So he's definitely putting a stamp on Swindon for sure. And I'm enjoying the things we're doing. I mean, he's very like, we analyse the games like well in advance and exploit areas that are going to hurt the team. So we're not like one style of play based. We've got quite a good depth in that. We can look at the teams, know where we can hurt them, and adapt what we do to sort of just give us like a bit of edge about us and to really punish teams.
Is that side of the analysis side of things? Is that something that you've seen a real change at Swindon Town over the last couple of years? Obviously, we've had a fair bit of emphasis put back into the women's team, especially since Clem's taken over at the club. I mean, the analysis side, the sort of standard of training, the facilities, has that really, really changed over your time at the club?
Yeah, so we had analysis last season. We still got the same guy, Samir, doing it, but this season Mike's really like zooming in on the analysis. Like, he wants to know specific players, like their percentage of passing, their heading winning rate, and breaking it down into thirds of like for example, how many shots we have on target, where we are on the pitch when we have them. Like, he's really, really like breaking that down into finer details so that we can adapt it to training and look in the games and know what areas we can improve on. And obviously the facility wise now, with just the change in training over pre-season, we're at Foundation Park, whereas before we were somewhere else.
Yeah.
And obviously having all the home games at Foundation Park, and then the 5 I think they're trying to do at the county ground this season. So yeah, it's a big step up, and it's going in the right direction for sure.
Absolutely. I think obviously there you mentioned we'll get on to the game of the weekend, but playing football at the county ground at a standard or a level in women's football where a lot of teams don't have that privilege or that ability or opportunity to play, in front of a very decent attendance, but in a stadium that's got 18,000 seats. It is kind of unique, I suppose. Swindon Town are probably quite a pull at this level, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that everyone has agreed to allow us to play there. I think it was like a fantastic seller point for the club, for new players to be like, this is the stage you get to play on. Not many teams actually are able to use their men's stadium, so it's really good. Like, even if you look in the WSL, there's still teams there that are only allowed to use their men's stadium for like 5 games, and for us to be doing this at Tier 4, I think it shows how much the men's team are on board with the women's team and how much they just want to secure that link together and just bridge the gap.
I think it's really important, isn't it? I think, Clem came in to the football club with a real idea of making the club an entire Swindon Town family. And I think, to be fair to him, in terms of the academy, obviously we've had the Wiltshire Shield final last year at the county ground with a lot of youth team players playing there. The women's, obviously the men's play there week in, week out. It's starting to really become a Swindon Town family, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think all the work that they're doing behind the scenes is really starting to show now. And I'd love to just get to a place where fans are like, brilliant, we'll watch the men on the Saturday and then we'll go and watch the women on the Sunday, and everyone just supports like different areas of the same club and just proper become one family.
That's it. I think, like I say, you wear the one shirt and then everyone wears that shirt, and everyone that wears that shirt as a Swindon Town player and as a Swindon Town fan,
Yeah,
you should be engaged with that.
exactly.
Now they don't call you Goalston for nothing. 2 games in the league, 2 goals standard. But there's also a small matter of the Women's National League Cup. Now you're 3 from 1 in that at the minute. 3 goals obviously coming on the STFC Hattie weekend. You had a treble alongside Jake Young, Abu Kano. 5 goals from 3. That's not a bad start, personally, is it?
No, it's going well. I think I put a bit of pressure on myself this season off the back of last season. So I knew that just getting off the mark quickly would help ease that and just not have to worry about it. So the stats are looking pretty nice already. So fingers crossed it can carry on going that way. Otherwise, I don't know.
We asked Jake Young last week, obviously started with 7 goals. One of the guys that were in the group chat with Nathan said that, he's on track for 97 goals this season. I think you're on track at the moment for around 50. So we'll ask you the same question. Is anything below 50 now a failure?
Oh my gosh. What sort of question is that?
Look, if Erling Haaland could do it.
Well, now you've said it, I'm going to feel like a failure. So I suppose so.
Okay, so I mean, right. Have you got a goals target this season, or are you going to give us a media-trained answer and say it's all about the team success?
No, I actually don't have. I don't have one. Last season, sort of sat down with Lally and we spoke about it and we came up with one, but I haven't done that this season. But no, on the back of that, I do feel like this season there's a lot more players that can add to the goal contribution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've seen Taylor McDonald's free kick, she's absolutely insane at them. So I'm hoping she's going to get a few. Ellie Strickle, she's going to bag a few as well. So, and Lanes, she's been flying as well.
Yeah, well, Lanes is flying, and
Yeah.
we were expecting Lanes to be popping into this evening, but she's got other plans that are more important, haven't she? So,
Do you know what? I can't believe that. What could be more important than this?
oh, I know, Annie. We'll have words. Don't worry. We'll have
Yeah, we
words.
will. We will.
So let's have a chat about last weekend's game. So away at Exeter. We won't linger on it for too long because obviously it's not the best conversation to have at the moment. But what happened from the outside looking in? It looked as if there was a little bit of a late collapse. Is there much from the game that, as a group, you guys can take moving forward?
Do you know what? I think the game itself, the general consensus after, we were all just a bit deflated because the scoreline did not reflect the game at all. And I know you hear that and you think, oh yeah, but honestly, it didn't. Like, I'd say majority of the game, we were the better team.
Yeah,
I think we turned up and they sort of expected us to not be what we were, and so it sort of gave them a shock. And we scored early on, and then yet I think the last couple games, the goals we've conceded, we've sort of given them to the other team. They've not actually earned them. So that's what we've been reflecting on as a team. We've took a lot of confidence and a lot of positive from the game at the weekend. But also there's things that definitely can be worked on. But we were using Exeter as sort of a benchmark to see where we were.
yeah.
Because obviously the team's only really like 8 weeks old. So
I was going to say that. I think, you are a new team and it was a massive overhaul in the summer. So I guess those experiencing a late loss like that together, it can only really be a positive moving forward.
yeah, for sure. We don't want to like beat ourselves up about it too much, but we want to just use it as a positive. Like, we went there and we competed for the points, and unfortunately we didn't get them from 2 late goals, but that's something we can learn from and hopefully hold teams out in the future to get 3 points or even just take 1, because I think in this league you just need to get as many points as possible.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, I saw the videos obviously on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, of you guys on the coach on the way back, and I think a real positive was the sort of morale. The team looked like they were really together after it. You all pulled together, had a bit of a laugh, had a bit of a dance. I mean, your dancing was awful, but Mia's was all right. The morale looked good regardless. I think that's quite a good sign.
Yeah, it did for sure, and I think that's like the best thing to be when you can bounce back from a loss and reflect on it together. And we're going to enjoy the wins together, but also we need to take the losses together and just be one team and a collective and pick each other up, because certain people after certain games will feel more down than others, and I think it's just coming together as a team and just spurring each other on. That's really going to help us this season.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got a chance tomorrow evening to bounce back straight away from the loss. Obviously, Keynsham away. They've got the same records as yourself so far this season. So obviously 1 win, 1 loss. How's the preparation been for the game? You guys looking to go there and enforce your own game style on them? Are you looking to change it up, or is it just a case of going there and playing your best football?
Yeah, well, we had obviously training on Tuesday. We just did sort of a light session and worked on a few things, because obviously we've got the 3 games this week, so we didn't want to do anything too strenuous. Again, we've done analysis on them, sort of looked at their weakest areas, but just all in all, we want to go there and we want to get the win. We want the 3 points and to go home and smile and then go and win at the weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, you said there about, obviously we mentioned the analysis side of it earlier on. How easy is it to get? Do you guys have full footage of the games of, like, so Keensham's last game? Have you watched it back in full? Do you have clips? Do you just see the goals? What level of depth does the analysis go into? Because I genuinely I'm not too sure at the level how much of the content you get to see.
Yeah, so most of the games in our league and above, I'm not sure about leagues below, are all captured on VO. So
Okay.
it's just pretty much about who you know and who sorry who will share the information with you of the teams that you've got coming up. So we have watched Keynsham against another team, and we use like the whole games, and then Samir will go away and clip certain things that he thinks we need to know, and how we can use that to our advantage, and what we need to look out for, like corners, etc. And just use that. And he's honestly unreal at what he does. I don't think he gets enough credit for it, but yeah, that's what happens.
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't say that it was just on video. I was sort of hoping you'd say Samir gets himself up a tree and hides himself like a Leeds United scout. He just films it on his phone. I think that'd be...
I'm not sure that would go down too well, but I could ask him to try.
Do it, yeah, might as well. So obviously past Keynsham, we saw yourself all over Swindon Town socials this afternoon promoting the game on Sunday. Again, obviously off the back of your hat trick in the cup, next round AFC Wimbledon. I mean, we were chatting earlier on, and you mentioned that they haven't lost in like nearly a year, which is pretty big. It's gonna be a tough game. Obviously, you mentioned that. It's also a really big opportunity again for you guys to play at the county ground, which is exciting. How excited are you to get back out on the big pitch? Well, the big pitch, the big stage, even. And how big of a task do you think it's going to be? But can we do it?
I am so excited. It's been too long since I've played on the pitch, so I'm just excited, and all the girls are excited, and people haven't played on there before. So I think it's going to be a really special occasion for all of us. Like you said, AFC Wimbledon are on like a massive win streak, so I think for them that comes with a lot of pressure too, because once you've won for so long, you don't want to lose. So I'm hoping we can use that to our advantage.
100%. I think obviously as well, it's an opportunity for Swindon Town fans, families, get yourselves down to the county ground on Sunday. It's a big opportunity for the girls to progress in the cup. It's a chance for yourselves to play against a team that are clearly flying. I mean, it's a chance as well. I wouldn't assume that AFC Wimbledon have played in front of many fans or in a stadium that's going to be similar to the county ground. So, as you say, I think pressure probably is on them, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But yeah, they just beat a team from the tier above 2-0 to get through to the next round of this cup that we're playing. So it's definitely going to be a tough game, and we need as many fans and as much support as we can to help us get through the game and to hopefully get the win.
So, has the gaffer spoken to you guys much about the cup? I mean, a lot of teams, I think, at the start of the season, they'll see a League Cup and go, well, it's a chance to rotate, it's a chance to get some minutes in players that maybe haven't made many appearances in the league. Has he told you guys that, this is a cup that we want to be winning? Or is it a chance for you to go out there and experience new, I don't know, play new tactics, get yourselves in different positions, try and work on some things? Or is it all about winning it?
I mean, we had a discussion before the Actonians game, because that was a determining round. So it determined if you went into the League Cup or you went into the League Plate.
Oh, right. Okay.
And some favour the Plate because obviously that's all the teams that have lost have gone into that one. But us as a collective have said we want to go into the Cup, and we want to get as far as we can, and we want to win it. So the mentality is to win. I think also he probably will do a couple of rotations just so players can get minutes and make sure their match fitness is still on form. But the idea is to go and win.
100%, absolutely. Well, obviously the tickets are available on Swindon Town's website. Make sure you get down to the county ground on Sunday. I believe, is it a 2 p.m. kickoff, Annie?
Yes, it is.
It is. So get yourself down to the county ground 2 p.m. Sunday and watch the girls absolutely batter some Wombles, because it's going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen. Now, Annie, I appreciate. I don't want to keep you for too long this evening. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show at kind of short notice as well. So that was really lovely of you. We are going to move on to have a little bit of a chat about the men's team now. You're welcome to stick around as well. Please stick around, have a chat. But also, if the small one hasn't gone to sleep yet, I also appreciate that's probably priority.
Yeah, no, she is still awake. She's still calling me. So I'm going to shoot. But thank you for having me on. I loved it as always. And hopefully I can come back soon.
Absolute pleasure. We will look forward to you coming back, Annie. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Mr. Robin, I see you in the speakers.
Yes, hello. Sorry, a little bit late to the party.
No, that's absolutely fine, mate. Annie Goalston, what an absolute ledge. I mean, Ellis, does it get much better in women's football than Annie Goalston? She's just class, isn't she?
Well, the only thing is she supports Bristol City, so
Well, we're not all perfect, and it could have been Oxford, so...
there you go. But I guess we can make some exceptions.
Mate, if she's scoring goals in the red and white Swindon Town and not the red and white Bristol City, then she's all right to me.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, having a little chat about the men's team, I couldn't leave out the Jakey Wakey situation before we get on to Donny. Before the game, obviously, it was announced late on Friday evening, just before the transfer window slammed shut, young Jacob Wakelin, he departed for posh parishes anew. Obviously, we hear that it was a deal that the club simply couldn't turn down. I mean, what are the panel's thoughts on this? Is it going to affect the squad in a negative sense? Is it just one of those ones where, again, you get a deal on the table as a football club, you just have to accept that it is what it is, and you take the money? Or are we quite content? Okay, here's a question, Ellis. Are you content with the sale, or are you a bit upset about it? Because I feel like I've got mixed emotions.
Yeah, I can sort of. It's frustrating because it obviously come out of nowhere, and you'd like to think if we had a bit more time, say we got the offer early in the week, we could have then had the opportunity to have a look at other options. I believe we made a bid on another striker, but we didn't have the time, or I think the bid was too low. So sort of obviously where it happened sort of out of nowhere pretty late on in the evening, it's like unless you've genuinely got your eyes on a striker that you're working to get in, it's going to be pretty unlikely that you're going to be able to bring someone in of the caliber that Flynn wants to sort of to come in. But look, let's be honest, Wakelin was our fourth choice striker. You've obviously got Austin, Young, Hepburn, Murphy, and then Wakelin. But look, Austin's not going to play every game. He's getting older. He's not going to be able to play 90 minutes week in, week out. Hepburn Murphy is injury prone. I mean, he's been out with a knock. So again, we're pretty light up front, especially in this formation that we're playing. If we're playing two strikers up front, look, we're getting to the point where if we pick up a suspension or an injury, then we're looking pretty light up top. However, those strikers that we do have are plenty. You know, they're well good enough for this league. I mean, Young's putting in the goals, and I can't see him not scoring in many games, and obviously Austin's a well proven striker. I think what he offers off the ball, as well as on the ball, is second to none. So the strikers that we've got are definitely they'd be your first. They'd be on your team sheet straight away, and I can't see anyone coming in that would replace them. However, we're just looking very light in terms of depth in that position. So hopefully there's some free agents out there that Flynn's had his eye on, and obviously if we've got a decent amount of if we've got a decent offer for Wakelin, then and Flynn's got someone coming in, then you can't argue with it. But that's my only sort of issue with it is the depth in that position.
Yeah, I mean, pure numbers is a good argument, really. I think from what we heard, we're probably looking at getting 2 or 3 free agents in. As you say as well, if the issue with these free agents was agents' fees or weekly wages, you'd like to think whatever money came through for Jake Wakelin's sale, at least a portion of that would be available to the gaffer to be able to spend on his current squad or to add to that current squad even. And I'm not going to lie as well. Obviously, it was highly rumoured that the six-figure sum that was bid for a striker happened to be Josh Umerer from Hartlepool.
Yeah.
Mate, I think there are better out there in terms of free agents. I think there's better.
Yeah, I think that it could possibly have just been sort of like a panic sort of buy, like we've got a striker out, let's get one in.
Yeah, I think it's, don't get me wrong. I think it's the right sort of archetypal sort of striker you're looking for. It's a bit different to what we've got in the squad. He's a big lad, makes himself a nuisance in the air. He's strong, holds the ball up. That probably is what we need. But I think if you go out in the market and look at someone like off the top of my head, like a Connor Wickham or something, I think if you kept Connor Wickham fit, he's a great option to have.
Yeah, 100%. Those are the types of strikers you need to be looking at, and Flynn obviously knows the type of player, the type of striker that he's looking to get in. And you know, if it's pointless going out and say, like, for example, if we went out and got Harry McCurdy, I know he's not fit, but you know, it doesn't sort of fit the mold of this team. It does. It's a tricky one because, you know, again we were constricted by time. But look, we've got a gap now in the team, and we've definitely got money from the deal. So hopefully, if there's any decent, you know, free agents out there that were possibly asking for a bit more money in terms of wages, hopefully we can offer that to them now and get them in.
Yeah, well, I think obviously Mike Flynn's fans phoned in last night on BBC Wiltshire. He did mention the fact that there were quite a few free agents that were maybe asking for a few too many pennies, and he's not going to be going above that. But I suppose certainly this money that's come into the club is certainly not going to help. It's not going to harm his chances of negotiating and maybe finding a bit of a middle ground, is it?
No. Look, I mean, I think at this rate, if we get any knocks, we might have to recall Adeloy. We better get him. We better get him on speed dial.
Well, to be fair, there's an opportunity, I guess, for him if it does happen. But
yeah.
I mean, Daz, what were your thoughts on the Wakeland sale? Happy, sad, not asked?
I'm not bothered in the fact that I echo Ellis's comments in the fact that fourth choice. Disappointed in the fact that there's raw talent that could have been honed, but you know, big money talks. So obviously it's a nice, nice stack of brass for him. So yeah, great, happy for that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him as well, Peterborough is a great club to go to as a young player. You look at their track record of youth team players and bringing them into the first team, developing them, and then selling them on for a big fee. It's probably a great place for a player of that age. Yeah,
definitely. And you know, there's some money in the bank for Flinney to get one of these free agents. But I think, you know, he's not daft, and I don't think he's going to rush in, as he said all season, hasn't he? So far, he said he ain't rushing in, and he'll get what's right at the right price. He's not going to be, you know, done over by people wanting money that, you know, that perhaps they shouldn't be asking for. And I think the other thing is you've got the strength in the team with, you know, like McEachran and Kemp in the midfield that, you know, they will produce. It won't only be Charlie, Jake and Russian doing the goal scoring. So I'm not overly worried if there's an injury. And this thing about Charlie not playing every game, he's played every game so far, hasn't he?
I think he has, yeah, it's very true. It's one of those ones, though, it's like a striker of his age, if he plays every game, I mean, we've heard a lot this year about how Charlie is the fittest he's been in years, and I know Mike Flynn echoed those sentiments last night as well. So he might be in a position where he's been conditioned to a point where he can play every game, and if he can, then bloody hell, like, fair play, it's great to put him down.
You know, and the thing is at the moment, is teams are scared of him. And that opens up so many opportunities for the rest of the team to get into places because they're worried about this Charlie Austin.
That's it.
You
I
know,
think we've seen so many times as well at the start of the season where centre backs, especially if you're playing as a back three, I've noticed. I think it was against Crewe. Two players were trying to, basically man mark and follow Charlie Austin around the pitch, which just left. I think in the first half it left Jake Wakelin free, and then in the second half Jake Young had a great amount of sort of space and time as well. So if you can keep all the attention on Charlie and have Kempy and Youngie coming through, mate, it's a good position to be in.
absolutely, 100%.
So finally, Malcolm Wakelin, yay, nay?
I was a bit disappointed when he left me. So I actually really liked him, but you've got to think about what's best for the club, haven't we? And that we've got money for him. And I think he was a good prospect, maybe. But ultimately, I think we brought him in to sell him on. So we've kind of done it, but I think maybe a little bit earlier than what we were expecting. But yeah, I wish him all the best. I said like him. He was, like I said, fourth choice, but I think that's because of the other strikers doing so well. Whereas maybe if they hadn't have got off to such a great start, he might have been a little bit further up the pecking order. But no, I trust that Flynn. I think we'll wait and see what he gets in, but I'm sure that he's going to make the right decisions for the club.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, again, I say we were a player down from Friday night going into Saturday. Trip up to Yorkshire. I mean, 0-0 draw. We'll go through the starting 11 very quickly. So in net, Murphy Mahoney, Udoka Godwin Malif, Tom Brewitt, Fraser Blake Tracy at the back, Romeo Hutton and Tariq Uwakwe on the wides, George McEachran, Saidu Khan, Dan Kemp in the middle, Jake Young and Charlie Austin up top. Now, Ellis, performances across the pitch. I've put in sort of in brackets here, underwhelming. Is that being harsh? Do we think there was especially, poor in the second half, or was it a case of just due to having 10 men up against us, sort of taking out the arse for 45 minutes, there was just no space? Where was your head at?
Yeah, we look flat at times. I mean, look, we're coming off the back of 3 high-scoring games, so naturally we're all expecting goals flying in everywhere. But I think going, the opposition going down 10 men so early on, it always affects the game. It's a case of put 10 men behind the ball and fight to save the draw. It's not even an option that you're looking to win. It's to save the draw. So it's always tough going up against 10 men. And it was just where we looked good in previous games in terms of being able to get the ball into the box, to be able to build, have fast build-up play through the thirds and sort of catch teams on counters. It was so hard to counter a team because they just weren't offering anything, at the other end. So it's you're trying to make chances and opportunities out of nothing and sort of passing around 10 men at the back. So it was always going to be challenging. But look, we didn't look shit. We looked a decent side. I think they looked well sort of regimented, and you could see they had a game plan, and certainly when they went down to 10 men they stuck to it. So it was always going to be hard to break down.
It's one of those ones as well. I think in my head, I know we won there last season, but Doncaster away for me is always quite a tough game for Swindon.
Yeah,
like we tend to not get much change out of that fixture.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one. I mean, you could always argue that we had to travel for the game, so that can play into effect. But look, we didn't play badly. I think. I mean, it's cliche, but a point before. I mean, look, they were bottom of the league. Does that reflect the side? No, I think I think they're definitely. I mean, we're only 4 or 5 games into the season, but
Yeah,
they definitely, their performance didn't reflect where they are on the table, is what I'm trying to say. And I think, I mean, a point. Look, we're still unbeaten. You'd want to win, but I think at that point you take the point.
a point away from home.
You
I
always,
put
yeah.
down on my notes, if you get a point away from home and you get your wins at home, if you win every game at home, that's fine. That's like promotion form, that is. I
Yeah,
mean,
100%. And if you can win the odd one here and there, you're laughing.
it's a tough one, isn't it? I think I've written down in my notes 8 yellow cards in the game and a red. Doncaster's Tommy Rowe just before half time.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we've heard all about the referees clamping down on certain aspects of gamesmanship this season, which I think was largely greeted with praise and acceptance. But my God, I mean, the cards have been flying this year for regular fouls.
Yeah.
I mean, Daz, what are your thoughts on the yellow cards and the red cards this season? They're having a negative impact on the game, aren't they? I mean,
well, I mean, the referees are rubbish at the best of times. Now you're giving them free rein to dish out cards. I mean, even Andrew Hawes had no idea who he was flashing the cards at, because he was just throwing them out with gay abandon, and nobody knew who was getting booked. We thought Charlie was off because we thought he'd been booked in the first half, and nobody knew who had actually been booked. So it's ludicrous, and it is just going to ruin so many games. I don't think the guy, the Donny player, he was looking at the ball. His eye was on the ball, not our player's head. I thought it was harsh. I thought it was
it's a harsh
harsh.
one, but if you look at the yellow cards that he's given out for the other fouls in the game, it's worse than that, isn't it? So it's like,
yeah.
if you're setting a precedent, you've given them 3 yellow cards early on in the game, and then someone's boot goes head high, you're stuck in a position where you have to back yourself and send a red card out.
Yeah. But how many times are we going to get that clown in a season? Is it only twice, or can we get them multiple times?
Well, how many clowns are there? That's the thing. I mean,
his card's marked already as a blooming clown. We know the others.
He's not on your Christmas card list, is he, Daz?
Absolutely not. No. You've seen the picture of me shouting at referees, haven't you?
I've heard you shouting at referees in person, Daz. I think we've all heard you shouting at referees in person, no matter where you're sat in the county ground.
Yeah, and the linesman.
And the linesmen, yeah, one of your favourites. I mean, Malk, what are your thoughts on the yellows and the reds and all the cards this season? It's just, I mean, I think it says a lot when you get to the point where both Doncaster fans and Swindon fans were both on Twitter on Saturday evening, just saying that the referee essentially ruined what could have been a really good game of football.
Yeah, exactly. But how many times do we have this conversation after every game about every referee at this level? It's just shocking. I mean, I don't know what you can do. The standard is just it seems to be getting worse. It should be getting better, surely, but it seems to be getting worse. And we've gone from Wrexham, he was a joke, and then Saturday. Yeah, like you said, I agree with the red card. I think most people did think it was a red card. Maybe slightly harsh, but like you said, he was booking people for nothing anyway. So it was always it was gonna be a red at some point. So I'm just glad it wasn't us. And then they had to sit back and we had to try and break him down. We're never the best at doing that. So yeah, just referees. Don't get me started.
I'll say, in terms of the red card having a negative impact on the game, so after that game, Doncaster's XG 0.9, Swindon's XG 1.12. So it wasn't even a case of Town having a load of opportunities in the second half and just being, wasteful. It genuinely was a case of 11 versus 10, and the 10 were camped, weren't they, Ellis? Like, what can you do if you've got 10 players that are just sat there kicking and heading it out for throw-ins? It's just, it's not something that you're going to be taking your kids to a game and being like, right, here's the sport of football, fall in love with it, watch this. It completely ruins it.
It does. Look, I know they've got to clamp down on time wasting, etc. But just have a bit of common sense. I mean, flashing cards here, there, and everywhere. It kills the game. It takes the attention away from the game and puts it onto the referee. I mean, as a referee, surely, I mean, all the best referees, you don't notice them. They're in the background, and I think the moment the attention is brought away from the football and onto the referee, it's not a good sign. And it made the game flat. It was you can see towards the end players are sort of tentative into going into challenges, and they're wary, and it's just it gets to a point where it's becoming sort of it's questionable, and it's stupid, and just find a medium point, and just be like, just have a bit of common sense.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'm struggling to even think of any chances in the second half where Town have had a good opportunity at goal. I think the only one I can think of is Hepburn Murphy's
Yeah,
back
Hepburn
post, but
Murphy.
that
Yeah,
was, again, it was offside, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it's I think we'll probably move on from Doncaster because it kind of feels a bit like a nothing game at this point.
yeah. I mean, you could look at it towards the end of the season and think we should have picked up an extra 2 points there. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. But look, we touched on it earlier. A point away from home is always decent. We were hoping for more, but look,
I mean,
on to
we
the next
mentioned it on
one.
the show last week as well, Ellis, that they just come off the back of a very positive display against Everton in the cup.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be. I wouldn't say they'd be down there come May. Personally, I think
not at all. Not at all. They will be. They'll be mid-table. They won't be fighting relegation. They're a decent side. They've got some decent players. I know they've come off of. They've got a load of injuries, like players coming back from injury and whatnot. So they're definitely struggling in that department. But they won't be near the bottom towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, moving on to Saturday, and a team that I think could maybe be down the bottom this season, Sutton United. Obviously, they're second bottom of the league, just above Donny. Just one win this season, lost the other 5. They're coming off a 1-0 home loss to Forest Green Rovers. Surely, this is a must-win game for Town. I think at home, especially, we'll give a little bit of leeway with away games. It is what it is, but at home, this is as close to a must-win for me as any game, really.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think we've sort of been lucky. We've had a decent run of games at the start of this season, and I think if we can pick up a bit of momentum and just pick up 3 points and not losing games, we could quite have easily have lost the Donny game. The most Swindon thing ever. Opposition gone down to 10 men, and we concede. But look, it's like you said, Joe. It's sort of a must-win game, and I think this is a point in the season where you'd want Swindon to sort of make the county ground a fortress. And I know we always say we touched on it last season, but I mean, I went to the Wrexham game earlier in the season, and their fans are mental. And they play such a big part in the team's success. And when we were 4-1 up, it was like their fans were sucking the ball into the net. And if we can get to a point where teams, and certainly smaller teams, I mean, you look at Sutton's ground and sort of their facilities, it's not anywhere near the county ground and what Swindon has to offer. So if we can get to a point where the county ground can become a fortress, and teams are scared of, or not necessarily scared, but wary and not scared of playing at the county ground when you've got the likes of Charlie Austin in the side. It's only going to help us, and like you said, Joe, if we can pick, win as many games as possible at home, and take the stress out of the away games, then
100%, mate. Daz, is this a must-win for you? Because I mean, if Sutton at home,
well, Sutton second from bottom. We didn't fare that well against bottom, did we? No. I think the big thing about the county ground atmosphere is the team have got to give something for the fans to cheer on. If they're trying, if they're putting the effort in, then the county ground will respond and give them the support they deserve. When they perhaps aren't as proficient in getting the ball forward, in playing well, then Swindon fans are very quick to get on their backs, and that's always a negative thing. But they've got to command the respect of the fans to give them that support that they desire. They've got to put the effort in, and we'll see. They've always started sprightly this season. I've been chuffed with how they've started. So therefore, it's a will win.
Absolutely. Malcolm, I mean, as Daz has rightly mentioned there, it is kind of a case of, it's on the boys to put in performances that demand an atmosphere. Now, I think a lot of people have mentioned the similarities to the 1920 season very early on this year. Obviously, we are only a few games in, but you've got the Dorling Yates situation with the loanies of Kemp and Young. You've got an unbeaten start. You've got a manager who's probably, since Richie Wellens, is the most involved in terms of the community and the fan base that we've seen. Do you think the atmosphere will come? I think it's been not bad. It's not been a bad start. I think certainly away from home especially, but even the town end's been a little bit lively in recent weeks. Is it just going to come with positive wins, with positive performances?
Yeah, I remember when the county ground was a bit of a fortress, and people didn't like coming here play here, and that's what we're trying to bring back. And I know Flynn, that's what they're trying to build. He's trying to get that pride back in the team. You can see the pride that he is for having this job. He's loving the job. He's loving being a manager. And I just think sometimes as a crowd we shouldn't have to wait to get we should be getting behind the team anyway. If you've paid that money to get in, just get behind the team. That's what you're there for. Demanding that we're entertained before we start singing. I just think, do you know what? Just get behind the team and see if that works. Because I'd rather go straight in singing and go from there. But yeah, it just seems a bit odd that we have to be the players have to do that for us to respond. I think we should be there right from the start. And if we are from the start, then maybe that'll help the players better.
You know what? I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, why are you paying 20 quid to go and sit down and be pissed off, basically?
Exactly. And I'm like, when we go to away games, normally first to last minute, we were amazing. Like, away to Wrexham was just brilliant. I mean, we were trying to compete with them, with their end. Because obviously there was a lot way outnumbered, but we give it a go. And at times we were really, really loud. And I think against Crawley at times, when the town end's singing, the Don Rogers is singing, it's really good. The whole ground. We need to do that, and then that's what's going to make it hard for other teams to come. Because if you've got three sides of the ground singing, then that's going to give that's going to give them a boost. But we don't do it, and I don't know why. I think we think we're too good to. It just annoys me. But yeah, when we get going, we are good. But we need to. I think we just need to do it earlier. And I don't know what the solution is. I think people are looking into trying to get it done. The thing is, no one wants a drum. I get that, but you go to a lot of places where they have got a drum, and that's where you're getting the atmosphere from as well. And it is annoying. Don't get me wrong, because I don't really want to see one in the county ground. But a lot of places you go, and I think did Wrexham have a drum? I mean,
I think they do have a drum.
Yeah. So I mean, that is partly why the atmosphere was so good, because they've got that. They start that off, and we need to get something where if no one wants a drum, fair enough. But how are we going to get that atmosphere started without it? As what's the catalyst to start everyone off?
Yeah, like I say, I think the catalyst for starting everyone off should be the fact that you're a Swindon Town fan at a game, as you say.
Yeah,
really.
Definitely. But it doesn't seem to be enough at the moment, and I think it used to be back in the day. The town end used to be rocking right from the start. Shrivenham Road.
That's part of the reason I moved from the Don Rogers to the town end, was because it seemed like a draw. When I was younger, I'd be sat on the Don Rogers thinking, "Good my God, I wish I was in there." It drew me to games.
So we have got it in us. I mean, you go to a playoff game and the atmosphere is electric. So why can't we recreate that with obviously less crowds, but we've got it in us. So if we can do that, I mean, that'll help the players no end, definitely. It's just a bugbear of mine that we don't do it right from the start. But I'm only one person; I can't do it. So
Yeah, mate, I completely agree with you. I mean, you mentioned there as well, the Crawley game was especially the second half, Town sort of just threw caution to the wind, all out attack, and obviously that does it demands a certain amount of response from supporters. Ellis, is this a game where you can see, a few goals being scored? Is it a game where you just bulk our goal difference out? Is it another chance to throw caution to the wind? Because I think on paper, I think you do it, and then ultimately, I don't see anything in Sutton at the moment, at least, which worries me particularly.
No, I think obviously our biggest challenge so far has been Wrexham, and look, they're the highest scoring team in the division. So I can't see many teams putting 5 past us. And as long as if you can score one more than the other team, then you're going to win. So I think go for it. I mean, we've got goals in this side. Austin, Young, Kemp, all these players. It's frightening what the amount of goals that we can score with this team. And I think prove a point. Get as many goals as possible. If you can score, I don't see the need in holding off. Go for the kill.
Definitely. I think I was going to talk about sort of changes in the squad there, but I think the only person you would change that squad obviously is Saidu Khan's away with international duty. So even you bring Liam Kinsella into the midfield, there's still so many goals around him. Like, I'll ask you predictions in a bit, but I'm not gonna say right now it's gonna be another 6-1 or 6-0, sorry. But in my head, like, this squad should be battering them. And I know we could talk about the sort of ex-player curse. Harry Smith's up top for them. We'll let them have 1 goal if we can have 7. I mean, Daz, this game's got goals all over it to me. What about you?
Yeah. But you've hit the nail on the head. Curse of the ex-Swindon player. And the one that really got me was that Alex Revel.
Yeah.
Every time, it didn't matter what club he played for. When he came back, bang 1, bang 2. Absolute rat bag. And I think Harry's going to be the same. I think he's going to get 1. Do you want the prediction now?
Go on, Ed. We'll have your predictions, Daz.
3-2.
3-2. I mean, that's a money's worth game, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And if the 3's for Swindon, then the Town End will be rocking.
Can I make a caveat with that? Can I ask for it to be 2-0 Sutton and then 3-2 Town? That would be perfect, really.
Oh,
Beware the crowd.
I like that. That would get the crowd going, wouldn't it? Definitely.
Absolutely. Malcolm, we'll move on to you, mate. Prediction-wise, confidence?
Yeah, they're one of them teams that you never know how we're gonna. We've got to match them because they're obviously strong and battling, and we've got to battle them. But I think if we play our game, we play like we can, and we've seen the majority of the games, maybe not from Saturday, but in the majority of the games this season, on the front foot, playing the ball around. I don't think they'll be able to cope with us. I mean, it just proves now that fluke 5-1 against Notts County was a complete fluke because Notts County are top of the league and they're second bottom. So I'll go for 3-0.
3-0. I'll take that. I'll take that very, very much. Ellis, what are you thinking, mate?
Well, I always like my high scoring predictions, but I just see us scoring loads of goals. 8 goals to be in fact. I think it's going to be 8-3. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but
8-3.
Come back to me after Saturday. That's all I can say. 8-3.
You need to put a tenner on that, mate.
I'm literally just going on Bet365 right now. I'm not gambling on our podcast. It's something that you're welcome to do, but in moderation, of course. But let's just have a look at the odds of 8-3 to Swindon Town
Yeah,
Football Club.
get on that.
This is a beauty of live broadcasting.
Look, I don't know why, but it's calling my name
You've been
8-3.
drinking.
No, too many punches to the head. That's what it is.
8-0 was my first thought, but I thought, no, don't be silly. 3-2.
I'm sounding less and less delusional.
Ellis, I'll get you odds of 450 to 1.
Oh, I'm sticking a tenner on that.
I mean, like I say, this is a game. I think looking at it on paper, obviously, Mike Flynn was asked about Sutton last night on the BBC radio phone in. He was asked about the agricultural sort of nature of Sutton's play, how they're a bit of a different beast to a lot of modern sides, maybe a bit retro in that sense. They're the sort of team that you think we're linked with players like Rob Edwards and stuff in free agent signings. A big lump at the back probably is maybe needed for this sort of game, isn't it? I mean, this is a game that you maybe wish you had a few. Even he likes to Josh Umer. I said it earlier on that he's not the sort of player that I would be going for in this squad, but they're options that you could have against these big lumps of teams to maybe compete. But I guess if we go out there and we impose our football on them, if you let Dan Kemp have a go, I mean, Dan Kemp he might be 2 foot smaller than any one of the Sutton players. He'll just run through the legs.
Yeah, a perfect example is the Forest Green game. You got to look at the height of all of their players, and it definitely didn't look like it phased us that much. I mean, we obviously won the game, and I reckon they've probably got, on average the highest sort of the tallest team in the division. So as long as if you're good enough at playing football and you can pass the ball around and keep the ball on the floor, then height isn't going to be an issue. It's obviously when you can't do that, and when you have to look at other options in terms of playing sort of a more of a long ball style game, that's when you can get caught out. But I mean, Blake Tracy, Brewitt, these, our defenders, they get stuck in, and they seem to win a lot of the headers. The Wrexham game stood out for me in terms of, I know we conceded 5 goals, but Brewitt and Blake Tracy, they seem to be winning a lot of the headers.
I think Godwin Malief as well, mate. I think he's the one that has come in and maybe surprised. Well, I know that he was one of the town's, top targets this summer, and it's clearly for good reason as well, because he's come in, and not only does he carry the ball really, really well moving forward, he brings it out the back, as good as anyone I've seen in a Swindon shirt. But he's also solid in the air.
Yeah, and I think if you can win those balls in the air, that it's a massive part. It's what when you look at a taller player, that's sort of their main, calling card that they add to the team in terms of, defending corners and also attacking corners as well, and in set pieces. But look, I mean, if you've got a taller player who's, typically slower on the ball, Flynn said it can definitely hinder what you're trying to do in terms of playing football out the back and whatnot. So Flynn obviously knows what he wants. He knows the type of defender he wants, and if we can get someone of a high quality at the back, not necessarily someone who's tall, but someone who gets stuck into challenges and wins balls in the air, that's all you want. You don't necessarily need height.
No, I absolutely agree, mate. I think, as you mentioned there, you alluded to the fact that the gaffer has said that, he does want extra players in the squad, whether or not they're tall, they're small, they're middle, they're whatever. He's not going to go and sign a player just because he's a big lump. He's not going to do that to the detriment of his ball playing ability or his range of passing or, the tactical nous. He will only sign players that he feels are right for this squad. And I think the decisions that the gaffer's made so far, you've got to back him on that, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers talk. You look at our stats. So, look, we conceded 5 against Wrexham, but was that because? I mean, one was a penalty, one was from a free kick.
That was a freak. It's a freak game. We're not going to play another 5-5 all season.
No, not at all. Obviously, the Crew game is arguable because we were 2-0 up, but I think that comes down to game management and sort of how you. I think we went 2-0 up and sort of relaxed a little bit, so that comes down to game management. I think if you look at our starting lineup, I think we've got the quality there. I think it's definitely a case of sort of gelling into this. I mean, it's a new manager. We played 6-7 games under Flynn in terms of competitive games, so it's not going to be perfect. I think the more games we play, you're going to see a more refined version. And it's clear to see Flynn's a proper manager, and we're getting exciting football. You look at the past, last season, it was so boring at times, and that's one thing that you can guarantee with a Michael Flynn side is that it's not going to be a boring game, no matter who we're playing. I mean, I'm saying that after Saturday's game, but yeah.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think as well, I think he knows it as well. He's felt the love from town fans, but I think he's earned that love in terms of his, this willingness from the very start to come onto podcasts, to go and interact with fans, go do fan events, do interactions within the community. He really has gone, I think, above and beyond. Especially, obviously, you mentioned last season the experiences that we had with coaches. It is kind of night and day, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see. It's nice to see, a set of players as well that you can clearly see they're responding to the manager. You can clearly see that they're a set unit and are playing for each other and playing for the fans. So look, I think we've got a really good bunch of players here. I think we've got a really good manager here, and I think you add a bit of depth to this squad, and I can only see promotion. I know I gave you 8-3 prediction, but
what's yours, Joe?
What my prediction?
Yeah.
I was going to say Flynnball 4, Hoofball 1. I think I'll let Harry Smith have a goal. I like Harry. I think he was a good player for us. Obviously, was at the club during a tough time in his life, and it's really nice to see him back playing at a good standard and scoring goals for Sutton. So we'll let him have 1. I think that's fair, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the 1.
Just in the time, has anyone got anything else on the panel this evening? Because we've had a pretty busy evening. Obviously, started off with Annie Goalston, had a chat about Swindon Town Women's Football Club on their 30-year anniversary. We've had a chat about Doncaster and all of the cards that are in the post at Donny, or weren't at the post, were delivered at Donny, actually. Sutton as well, obviously, Tim Vine's lot going to get a good tonking, according to us. Malcolm, you pretty happy with the evening's work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Happy days. Thank you for coming on, buddy. Daz?
Yeah, looking forward to the game on Saturday. I'll be there shouting in the town end.
I look forward to it, mate. I look forward to it. And Ellis, as always, thank you very much for coming on, pal.
Absolutely, Joe. No problem.
Hero. Well, as always, thank you very much for joining us this evening. A reminder that we are the Sutton Broadbent Lounge, and we're an independent X space. We are not affiliated with either Swindon Town Football Club nor Sir Tom Broadbent himself. Thank you once again for listening all. Come on, you Reds.